What's up, everyone, and welcome back to Movie Raise. "2020 has been quite the year so far, with the pandemic ravaging the world, the George Floyd conflicts, and of course, the 2020 financial crisis that's been wreaking havoc on the economies of the world. It seems like this year will be skipped in history class. There are some movies that are plain crazy with their predictions, and some that manage to predict many of the events extremely accurately. So let's take a look at what these movies predicted about 2020. Let's go, guys! Number 10, Real Steel. We told you some of these movies were outrageous. When you have Hugh Jackman teaching a human-sized robot how to box, you know that you're going to have a great movie. It was a great hit among fans and managed to almost triple the $110 million budget, raking in almost $300 million at the box office. And you could say that this movie was a bit off, since the Discovery Channel had a show titled BattleBots back in 2000, but one could argue they were not nearly as sophisticated as the ones we have here. The movie is set in 2020, and the sport of robot fighting is extremely popular. Even though this era of Iron Man robots is not here yet,
Ready! Hands up! Ready! Fight!
the movie sure managed to get fans excited to see robots fighting. Although, during this quarantine, it would be kind of fun to have robots that we can mimic our movements. It would simply be practical, making social distancing easier than ever before. Number 9, My Secret Terrorist. Prepared to have your brain melt inside your skull? This Korean show from 2018 will do the trick. It won many awards in its home country. Even though it focuses on the conspiracy of Kim Bon, there's a lot of National Intelligence Service agents included in this movie. It only had 32 episodes, and it aired on the Korean MBC from September 27th to November 15th, 2 years prior to the pandemic. And guess what? All was fine until the 10th episode of the season aired. There's these things. That's when things started getting weird. This show talked about a virus that was called, get this, coronavirus.
건 좀 더 조사를 해봐야겠지만 변종된 코로나 바이러스입니다.
코로나면 혹시 메르스?
And to make things even more interesting, the show talked about how the virus was linked to the MERS and SARS viruses previously. Then they went on to say that the virus had an incubation period of 2 to 14 days. Whoa. The only thing they got wrong is the mortality rate. On the show, the coronavirus was actually tweaked by humans and converted into a weapon with a 90% mortality rate, which attacks the lungs. This is absolutely crazy. Number 8, Reign of Fire. Oh, come on, don't tell us this movie is based on a realistic prediction, because between the quarantine, the deaths, and the protests, the only thing we need in this world are dragons. Dragons that are ready to attack the world 20 years after the big tunnel was built in England, and then smash that like button if you haven't done that already. Well, that's what this movie predicted, and if the previous example is used as a guide, we should be seeing them awaking from their slumber any time now. This movie wasn't anything to write home about, even though it starred Christian Bale, Gerard Butler, and Matthew McConaughey. Even though the closest we've been to a dragon are the fossils at the History Museum, this was actually an interesting story to watch. But back in 2000, people didn't really believe the world would be overtaken by dragons, so that explains the poor reception among fans. Number 7, Ryujin Z. Set 29 years in the future, this animated Japanese thriller from 1991 focuses on the sci-fi future of 2020. In it, the scientists and doctors are working on a government project to develop a futuristic hospital bed. It's called the Z001, and it takes care of all their patients' needs, and it has a nuclear reactor to power it. Later, after the incident with Takasawa, it's revealed that the bed is actually a weaponized robot. You better believe it's accurate, with hospitals being filled with infected individuals, elderly people in particular, as well as doctors working day and night. This sure is a good solution to the modern-day problem. Even the fact that there is a trend that shows elderly people will outnumber children in upcoming years makes this movie connect with audiences on so many different levels. You could say there is some accuracy in their predictions. Number 6, Mission to Mars. With Mars being all the rage at the moment, this movie made a real good prediction at the beginning of the 21st century.
Let's go to Mars.
Many of the movies that hit theaters at the time were talking about landing on the Red Planet. Even though that seems a little far-fetched for our standards, it's still not far from the truth. Elon Musk has even partnered with NASA, and their priority is to put a man on the moon by 2024. And the next big project will be the long-awaited Mars landing. But people weren't really sold on the whole idea of the Mars landing. The movie barely managed to offset costs, and that says a lot about Disney. The movie stars Don Cheadle, Gary Sinise, and Connie Nielsen. The movie talks about a group of astronauts that lands on Mars, and there they find signs of human life. However, the harsh environment, the static storms, and other problems caused many of the personnel to die on the mission, with some of the aliens sending pods on Earth, in the hopes that one day they will come to reclaim the planet. Number 5. Edge of Tomorrow. Yet another movie that made predictions about the year 2020, and it has Tom Cruise, so you know he's going to save the whole situation. Too bad he had to die like 100 times to get it just right. And when you have stars like Emily Blunt, Tom Cruise, and Bill Paxton in the main roles, you know the movie is going to be good. For example, this one managed to turn the $178 million budget into a whopping $370 million at the box office. But instead of the coronavirus, this movie predicted that the entire world would be united against another common enemy, the alien race of mimics. Even though their predictions about the alien invasion didn't come true, they sure were right about the world joining forces to fight the common enemy, the COVID-19. Number 4. A Quiet Place. Man, can they just give it a rest with all of the aliens in 2020? I mean, it's bad enough that we have to be quarantined. God forbid these predictions actually come true in the following months. This movie features aliens that attack anything that makes a sound. And if you thought you've seen a killer movie in the past, get this. A Quiet Place had only $21 million to work with. And they managed to make $340 million at the box office. Now that's what you call profitable. Even though the movie is an actual work of art, we're still far away from alien civilizations attacking our planet. Can you imagine what it would be like to live in a world where you can never make a single sound? Not even when giving birth? As we've seen in this movie. Wow. Number 3. Bill Gates, The Next Outbreak. What the heck, man? You said you'd talk about movies. Well, we know that this video is all about movies and their predictions, but you have to hear this TED Talk that Bill Gates gave back in 2015, where he talked about the problems that we would be facing in the future. He talks about the dangers of the invisible enemy and the fact that the world is not ready for a major outbreak like the one we had recently, when he was referring to the Ebola outbreak. He said the previous ones were just a warning and we should be seeing more frequent global disaster in the form of deadly viruses that will cripple our society. Is this guy a psychic? Number 2. The Simpsons. And now we're back to the regular stuff. How could we include a list of movies that made a prediction and exclude The Simpsons? We know this is not basically a movie, but their predictions were so accurate that we just couldn't leave them out. They predicted some of the events that occurred in 2020 years ago. The episode Marge in Chains alluded to the global flu pandemic, when a Japanese worker sneezed in a package. The show called it the Osaka flu, but it was just as dangerous. The murder hornets who became present in the US was also predicted in this episode. And the cherry on top was the burning Springfield police station, due to all the riots that were caused by the virus. And all of this was only in a single episode. Number 1. Contagion. It was actually pretty successful when it comes to the box office, which managed to more than double its $60 million budget. But it wasn't that popular back in 2011. It only began to resurface in current years, just because it so accurately predicted the whole situation in 2020. Matt Damon loses his wife to a lethal virus that's extremely contagious and deadly. The entire globe has been affected in a couple of months. People don't get out of their homes. The airports are empty. The streets are empty. And now we have only one question. Did the directors of this movie travel through time? And on that note, we end this video. But hey, did you watch any of these movies before 2020? You can tell us in the comment section below. If you'd like more videos like these, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and hit the bell icon so you never miss any of them. And as always, thanks for watching, guys.